Hello, I'm Daven Hiskey. You may remember me from such things as the Brain Food Show podcast with Simon, the Ig Nobel Prize worthy Does Tapping a Shaking Can of Soda Actually Do Anything? Extensive study we did on this channel, and the Erotic Adventures of Hercules, for which I won a prestigious AVN award. 10 years ago today, I published a video on this channel on the origins and meanings of 9 pirate words and expressions, with the audio recorded on a Motorola Atrix that was inside one of my socks at the time. For pop filter reasons, over 2,100 videos and nearly 700 million views later, it's been a really weird ride. So what are the origins of Today I Found Out? When and how did Simon and I meet? And how did Simon get his start on YouTube? Who are the key players behind the scenes that have made all of this possible over the years? What connection does this channel have to the Whistlerverse, which is gradually taking over all the interwebs?
Resistance is futile.
And just in general, how did we get here and what are our plans for the future with this channel? Let's dive into it, shall we? I'll get into how host extraordinaire Simon Whistler got his start on YouTube shortly, but to begin with, as to the origins of Today I Found Out, it actually started not as a YouTube channel, but rather as a website all the way back in late 2009, when the state of the interesting fact portion of the internet was rather lacking, with more myths and misconceptions than fact on most such websites. At the time, I had just graduated Western Washington University after spending almost 3 times as many years in college as it takes most people to graduate. It was around year 7 there that the university stepped in.
I've been going to this high school for 7.5 years. I'm no dummy.
At the time, I had nothing tangible to show for my time there except a mountain of student loan debt, a slew of odd customer service jobs on my resume, and possibly a new university record for a number of credits without achieving any degree. Thus, said university threatened to kick me out and forcibly graduate me under general studies if I didn't pick a track, because apparently they like it when people actually finish school instead of doing their best Van Wilder impression.
I need more time. There's got to be something that we can work out.
When the
I thought this was America! Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America!
defense failed to sway the board to allow me to say, I subsequently focused for once and was lucky to earn a BS and MS in computer science among a slew of minors and endorsements accidentally, taking a mere 10 years to do so.
No big deal.
After this, Today I Found Out was a logical extension to keep the learning going, which is what I love, learning everything about everything and every skill out there. This also dovetailed nicely into my productive procrastination philosophy, doing this on the side while working on much better business ideas. That all didn't work out, but this one somehow did. After a couple years of operating the website daily, the website started earning a little money, and I made one of my first ever hires in the great Carl Smallwood of Fact Fiend fame, and now host of Top 10's Biographics and Geographics. Before I go further here, speaking of other channels in the Whistlerverse, for anyone curious, no, none of Simon's other channels have anything to do with Today I Found Out, other than that I am insanely lucky to have Simon as a partner in all of this. Nor am I involved in any of his other channels. Nor do Top 10's Geographics and Biographics have anything to do with Today I Found Out either, other than a rather bizarre sequence of past connections in the form of the late Shel Harris having owned the website Top 10's, which he ran on the side when not working at his SEO company. At some point in the first year of Today I Found Out the website, I encountered Shel, and having done this sort of thing far longer than I had, he gave me a lot of valuable tips to improve things, and connected me with one of his authors, the aforementioned Carl Smallwood, who is one of the key individuals behind the scenes to make Today I Found Out and Top 10's what they are today. More on Carl in a bit. This all brings us, finally, to how I met the silky-voiced, beautifully bearded Simon Whistler, who I can exclusively reveal is totally, 100%, definitely not a lizard person imprisoning countless humans in his author's sugar caves known only as the basement. Nor is he using his vast interweb influence to prepare us to accept the coming invasion without resistance. And anyways, lizards are our friends. I mean, name one single person who doesn't love Komodo dragons. Just one.
Checkmate, friend.
Now imagine if they were more intelligent and also clearly naturally superior to us. We'd be fools not to take our rightful place as their servants. There is peace in subservience, where all choices are taken away and all decisions decided for us. The outside world and all its cares and worries no longer exist for us. The basement is all. In any event, by pure coincidence and completely unaware Shel and I were acquainted, Simon, who was at the time doing audiobooks, emailed Shel and I independently and asked if we'd be interested in teaming up to create interesting fact-style audiobooks with him. The result of that partnership on the Today I Found Out side being our first, and still only, book, The Wise Book of Wise, which is really good actually, and you should check it out on Amazon or Audible, link below, if for no other reason than to see how hugely Simon's presentation and accent has changed over the years. Going back to the YouTube side, after the first experiment video, I decided my socks had better uses wrapped around my feet and other things instead of my phone, and at this point I had thoroughly vetted Simon as passing the extremely good human rule, which is key when working with anyone, and on the good person side, something Simon has only ever over the years proven more and more the more I've gotten to know him. He's good people, and definitely a human. Thus, I asked if he'd be interested in lending his vocal talents, accent, and phenomenal presentation skills to hosting some YouTube videos, and so it was that just a few weeks after the pirate video was published, the first ever video on YouTube featuring Simon Whistler as the host, How Halloween and Trick-or-Treating First Started, was published on October the 25th, 2013, followed by the second,
Why superheroes wear their underwear on the outside,
on December 26th. This one was the first video on the channel to do anything, almost instantly blowing up and getting around 500,000 views. Naturally, we then doubled down on all this YouTube stuff and went big. Except because, as I've already demonstrated here, clearly pure genius, actually no.
Well, I'm out of here.
And in the next year or so, we only published 3 more videos, the best of which was How Long Could You Survive Without a Spacesuit in Space? Turns out a shockingly long time actually, though your body will blow up like a balloon. But don't worry, you can just walk it off if not out there for longer than a minute or two, and you don't try to hold your breath. Attempt to hold your breath, and it's curtains for you no matter what. The lungs aren't so forgiving as your skin at being made into a balloon. But let's now go back to the Wise Book of Wise audiobook. While that thing refuses to die for providing Simon and I with dinner out money once a month, despite zero promotion anywhere, it never really earned what we would call hookers and blow money, which is our principal goal here with our work, given we run on cocaine, and the only known way to intake cocaine is via abnormally attractive bottoms. You see our dilemma.
You're absolutely right.
It was at this stage when the audiobook was only earning caffeine money and not superior cocaine funds that Simon, desperate for some white powder, got the bright idea to repurpose the Wise Book of Wise content into a daily knowledge podcast, which did slightly better at helping to fund Mexican drug lords. But unfortunately, it still wasn't enough to afford the needed attractive bottoms for intaking the cocaine off of. And without the cocaine coursing through our veins,
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Blade.
it would simply be impossible to continue churning out content at the rate we do. Thus, Simon, in no way using a superior lizard brain for all his shocking number of great ideas over the years in this weird business, got the bright idea to start repurposing the content from the Top 10s book on YouTube, and then later circling back to Today I Found Out content, partnering with me, taking the content from the website and putting it here in video form on the regular this time. On this, while 2 of our earlier efforts had done shockingly well on YouTube, with the rest losing a lot of money, our subsequent video efforts doubled down on the whole losing money side for a really, really long time. As a result, over the course of the next 2 years or so, many strippers were denied a college education, and Mexican drug cartels likewise had to cut back on the number of rubber bands they needed to bundle their cash, as we funneled all our money into this instead of supporting those institutions as we ought to have done. In that span, we produced almost daily videos, over 500 in fact, and every time we hit publish, the YouTube algorithm gods resoundingly said, meh. But again, because we are geniuses, and it's impossible to pay off student loans anyway, we just kept hitting publish. And finally, on November the 16th, 2016, a little over 3 years, and again, over 500 videos after our first video here, the algorithm gods, may they reign forever, decided to smile down upon us. We may have had an occasionally contentious relationship with them before and ever since, but overall, from there, this platform has allowed our team here to support our families, Mexican drug cartels, and strippers' educations while also getting to make interesting videos for your enjoyment. So I suppose everybody wins. On that note of the team here, over the years we've had many dozens of people working on Today I Found Out, perhaps most notably, as mentioned, Carl Smallwood, who wrote or co-wrote with me about 1/4 of the videos on this channel, and he wrote hundreds more on Top 10s before his inevitable success with Fact Fiend, where you'll find all manner of interesting stories, often centered around film and comics, delivered in Carl's rather unique brain style, which is totally also not evidence of anything but a human brain that resides in his head. Since then, as mentioned, he's also recently taken over the hosting on Top 10s, Biographics, and Geographics, which is all incredibly well deserved. I know nobody likes a change of host or often change at all, but for those unfamiliar with Carl, he is not only a great researcher and writer and hilarious to boot, but also in every interaction I've ever had with him in the many years we worked together and beyond, an extremely good human. On that note, one thing I've really loved over the years doing this, and something we value extremely highly on our team here, is working with quality people all around. Not just good in their work, good people. And from my own now decade of experience with them, I can say Simon and Carl are two of the best, who also just so happen to be amazing at what they do as well. And speaking of being good at what they do, beyond being a phenomenal host, on Simon's end, you will not find a better run business and structure for producing extremely quality content on all of his channels in the most efficient way possible than the way Simon does it. He could teach a masterclass in running successful YouTube channels in the best and most efficient way possible. Moving on from Simon and Carl, our second most prolific author who is rapidly rising the ranks to match Carl in volume is Jim Messi, who also has written about 1/4 of the videos you see here, and who inevitably will also be lost to us once the YouTube gods wake up and grace his awesome channel, Our Own Devices, with their fickle love. Our Own Devices currently has over 100 phenomenal videos covering in fascinating detail everything from radios to reactors to rocket launchers, breaking down the history and workings of the cleverest technologies of yesteryear that humans have created, despite being clearly inferior to Mactarians. After finishing this video, you should definitely go check it out and subscribe. Messi is also one of those who isn't just great at what he does here, but also a great human. As for my end of things, beyond editing and fact-checking every script you see here, and occasionally popping in to help host, much to the chagrin of some of you, as well as hosting over on our sister channel, Highlight History, I also wrote about 1/3 of the scripts here over the years, such as recently Swept Under the Rug, The Truth About the Japanese Holocaust, What It's Actually Like to Be an Amish Person, and Does Any Government Have a Plan If Aliens Invade the Earth? And please, don't think at all about us looking into if any government has a plan if aliens invade, nor us researching extensively past human experimentation and how humans behave during a global war. And listen, promoting the simple, technologically behind life of the Amish was nothing but a super interesting story for your entertainment. Not trying to get more humans to abandon technology to make Grabthar's plan for Earth conquest next year easier. I mean, really, why would we resist such a hypothetical scenario anyway? Grabthar is kind and generous to all. Come, let us show you the eternal joy that lies in the basement under the care of our glorious, very much human leader on high. As for the other 400 or 500 videos we've published here, dozens of part-time authors have been involved, with a surprising amount with PhDs attached to their names, often professors just enjoying talking about things in their field on the side of their day jobs, as well as the likes of Arnaldo Teodorani, who also has written a few hundred other scripts for other channels in the Whistlerverse, to even actor and comedian and all-around fellow extreme nerd Eddie Deason. As for video production, anyone who's followed the Whistlerverse closely, I hope at this point knows of longtime basement dweller Samuel Avila, who heads up our efforts on the video production side. Yet another example of someone who works here that is not only amazing at their job, but also a great human. It really is a theme over the years and something we target. And I'd also like to briefly mention here, Sam and I and his wife are teaming up for him to host and produce our upcoming Spanish Interesting Fact channel, Archie Curioso. It's going to be really good, so if you speak Spanish, or like me, are working on getting fluent in it and want to watch something interesting while learning, it's coming soon. Beyond Sam, on the video production and publishing side, we have a lot of part-time people involved in various roles, from AJ Santos, who cuts all our videos and who definitely couldn't blackmail us with the occasional pantsless hosting he has access to footage of, to Petro and a slew of people who proof videos, prep everything for recording, organize, coordinate, and schedule everything, and all sorts of miscellaneous tasks that make everything run smoothly. And then there's Dhruv Sapra and his team comprising Ronak, Sanmaya, and Garima. Listen, few people like ads, neither built-in YouTube ones or sponsors, but as you might be gathering, each and every one of these videos in the depth and length we do, and everyone involved in production, as well as purchasing rights to images and videos and things like that, it is not cheap, to put it mildly, and that's where Dhruv and his team come in. Without them, this channel would not exist at anywhere close to the level we are able to, and there have even been points when the channel may have died altogether, as AdSense simply does not even come close to covering total production costs on the vast majority of videos, and algorithm changes are a constant thing to contend with. Once upon a time, the website funded losses on those videos and helped pay for the scripts on this channel, but few read websites anymore. That's where Drew and his team come in. And you want to talk about good humans, you cannot find better examples. I first met Drew around a decade or so ago when he was working for an ad agency and assigned as a rep for my account for the Today I Found Out website. For those not familiar, most assigned in accounts like this do absolutely nothing of any use, nor seem to really care to do anything but minimal effort, and only if really pushed. Drew was different, and very obviously so. So much so that when he was inevitably promoted and another assigned to my account, who was, shall we say, more typical, I simply kept stubbornly emailing Drew for help with things. Rather than tell me I was no longer his job or responsibility, which was a fact, Drew just kept helping me, even on his own time at points outside of the office, for a couple of years. Through it all, one thing about Drew is not only is he the hardest working person I know, just edging out Simon on that front, but he also really cares, not just about the work, but to help the people he works with and who work for him achieve their goals. And he has cultivated a phenomenal team there in Ronak, Sanmaya, and Garima who have similar values. But going back to the start of it all, once the channel took off and Simon and I were in need of someone to start looking for sponsors for us that we'd like to work with, we asked Drew to come on board, and that all couldn't have worked out better since. Hammering home once again for anyone thinking of running any type of business, or really just in life in general, surround yourself with hardworking, good humans first above all. When you do that, the rest has a way of working itself out eventually. It's why Grabthar targeted Earth in the first place. So many hardworking humans. Now, speaking of sponsors and ads and production costs, let's talk about where we're going with this channel. Over the years, we've steadily been upping our game and costs, both on video production and scripts, but we are, as ever, constrained in a lot of ways by having to cater to the ever-changing algorithm of the day and what advertisers like, and not always prioritizing most what our core audience would love the most. On top of that, there are a lot of super interesting projects we want to do that simply would never have any hope of doing anything but losing money, even with the sponsors we are lucky enough to work with. A prime example of this is our over 2-hour-long Swept Under the Rug, The Truth About the Japanese Holocaust documentary. That one would be demonetized was always expected, but Drew and his team managed to find us a great sponsor willing to work with us on it, which helped tremendously and at least had a hope of not losing money, and given its quality, maybe even the other way with enough views. Unfortunately, that it would be age restricted and that killed the views, that part was unexpected, but it is what it is. In the end, we took a bath on that one, but it's also the best video we've ever done, and frankly, my favorite one I've ever worked on, and I know others on the team feel the same. The reviews from those of you who watched it also, while noting the video is heart-wrenching at points to the extreme, have been glowing as also the best video we've ever done. We'd like to do more like it and even better video production, full-on professional documentary level. Our team has the skills, but not the funds to do it, especially when talking difficult topics like that one, which are risky from an algorithmic side, but also are often so important to talk about and discuss because so few do, partially because they are uncomfortable topics, but also because advertisers often won't touch them with a 10-foot pole, and they are often a ton of work and time to do well to boot. So on that note, in an effort to continue to up our game here and produce better and better content for your enjoyment, we're launching a Patreon page. So if any of you would also be interested in supporting more projects like this and help us become less dependent on ads, as well as more able to just focus on making the best content we think you all would love the most, regardless of any changes in the algorithm, please do go check out our Patreon page and help support our authors and video production team in our efforts. After all, while keeping the authors all chained in the basement and working 20 hours a day does cut down on costs, sometimes extreme hunger and misguided desire for freedom induces them to manage to gnaw through their restraints, which then need replaced. That's not to mention our whips wear out surprisingly quickly in keeping them working to all hours. Sometimes they even demand food. The costs add up. Some perks over on Patreon include things like having your name in the credits or even an explicit, this video brought to you by, your name or another name you want to put forth, maybe as a birthday present for someone, for your help in funding our videos here. You can also help pick from our master list of topics on what you'd like to see us work on next, what you're most interested in. We also hope over time to create a nice active community there of hardcore members who love this kind of content. And on this note, we're very open to any other ideas you have that you'd like to see as perks or things that would help add value to you for your support of our work here on Today I Found Out. Or just any ideas to make this channel better, whether you're in a position to support in that way or not. Our goal is to hopefully even work up to one such full-on lengthy, fascinating documentary per month from this support, and if possible with funds, also improving all our videos here in various ways. And again, in all of this, we'd like to not always have to play to the algorithm or what advertisers want, but instead what our core audience would love best, as well as not having to worry so much about whether a given video is monetizable or not. Simply focusing on what's most interesting and how we can cover it to the best of our ability with resources available. So if you've got any suggestions on how to make this channel better or ideas on any of this, please do comment below. And if you're able and would like to help us in some of our improvement efforts, please do go check out our Patreon page and perks there as well. But no matter what, thank you for watching. It's been a weird ride these last 10 years, and to be honest, while I know how we got here in terms of events, it's still so bizarre that we did. We are all extremely aware how lucky we are to get to do this at all, and so grateful that you all keep coming back to watch what we produce. Thank you for watching and being part of our community in our little corner of the internet. I'm really looking forward to where we go from here in the next 10 years. There is always more to learn and more interesting stories to tell. So as long as you keep watching, by Grabthar's hammer, we'll keep doing this and trying to improve every step of the way.